PrePlanLive.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for having us. My name is Dan Flanders. I'm the founder and CEO. I'm also a parent within the school district. I have a second and third grader within Clear Lake Elementary. And we have a critical incident management platform that we are now implementing within Oxford schools. This is the first platform that we found that has both some matriculation between the schools, the establishments, and first responders. And as you'll see today, it's really quite a special platform in the relative aspect of mass notification, dissemination of planning, emergency operations plan, all the very important components to emergency response to any type of emergency. So what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate some of the utility of the product. I'm going to make this brief tonight as we were added onto the agenda, which we really appreciate. So we have best-in-class kits that we believe should be in every classroom in America. Reason for that, something bad happens, arterial bleed, seconds, minutes matter. Running to the front of the school, or God forbid you have an active shooter, obviously as they enter the room, you're not going to follow them out to be able to render care. So within this packet, as you can see, we have a transparent for multiple reasons. I'm not going to go into the details about this pack, but there's a lot of methodology and of course our ideology. Craig and I, with 21 years of first responder, military experience and so forth, we can definitely speak to why we chose this pack. So first of all, the notification system, there's three ways. Number one is always going to be 911. Pick up the phone, call 911, dispatcher receives the call, and it goes through the Clemis system, through dispatch. It's parsed, matched, and then, of course, disseminated to all our first responders. Hopefully, before that, they have a pre-alert. What's the pre-alert? It's this button here. So it's any Internet of Things button can be pushed. Once it's pushed, so you can see it pushed there, it will disseminate the plan to the first responders, the administration within the school district, and all the end users being the teachers and so forth. So there it is. So you can see right here, panic button, Daniel Oxford School. So what do we have here? This is very important, is that we have a few things, right? Of course, it's live and active. So all the first responders in Oxford just received that instant notification. It says panic button activation Daniel Oxford, right? Push the button. 74 mechanic, how to get there for the first responders. It's a room 24, so they immediately know 24 is the active incident. Door number 11, exterior door number 11 is where we need to gain immediate access. And camera link zone 4. So right now we're working with integration. We have a bridging device that's end-to-end encryption that goes straight to our platform. It's only active when there's an incident. So for the security and so forth of the platform, it's very unique in that fashion. It audits, it tracks, so forth, so everybody gets an audit report. There's no infringement on that end of it. So let's go into the platform. Okay, so this has every key concept or every key component to managing an incident, from the general overlay, like the Google map-ish, from 60,000 feet, 20,000 feet. We have street view, so we have views of all the different angles of the exterior. Then we go in and we actually have the interior of the building, which this is the very cool aspect of it here. So we go to 3D. So here's 3D exterior, 3D interior of the buildings. And this quickly, while that's coming up, I'll show you the map of the building. So the first responders automatically now have the layout of the building. Where's my phone at? So essentially, what did we say? We said that the incident was in room 24, right? D11 was the nearest entrance. so they know to come to this side, the north side of the building. And then the zone 4, these blue are all video cameras within the school. So what have we done is, here's the interior 3D, here's the exterior 3D of the school. So you can see all the exterior doors are labeled with the Ds. That's still building a little bit. It's going to be slow in here just because I'm at an LTE and I'm not looking. Oh, there we go. So it's popping up. So you can see here, if you look out, all of our fire hydrants within the township in the village of Oxford is here. Then you zoom in on the school, you can see where the nearest fire hydrants are and the exterior doors. So we said we were going into what, D11? So this is what D11 looks like, okay? So then not only have we exterior 3D image the entire premise, but we've interior 3D image. I think this is pretty certain of this. I mean, this is the first, and there might be a couple within the country, but nobody that has this platform. Probably the first district in the country that has every building within their school district 3D mapped. So it's a pretty special thing. What's that mean? So here you go. Here's all your rooms and so forth. Let's go into room 24. First, I'm going to show you this. This is why we chose this camera system. See how I'm going to rotate this? And now let's enter room 24. Now we're in room 24. We can walk the whole school. Okay? Now, how critical is this? Information is power. Information translates into efficiency. Efficiency translates into improved outcomes. Time equals outcomes. And that's what we've done here. So now, you literally hit this link. We've had it active in the past for proof of concept briefly over minutes, but of course it's not live now. But in the future, you'll be able to hit this link and it'll go through our bridge and you'll be able to see the active camera. So that's essentially, this has a lot more components, but that's holistically overlooking the entire platform. We have deep linking, meaning that electrical panels and so forth, we can actually get an XYZ coordinate on that, and we can shoot you into that. Let me just show you this. It's worth seeing. So, this is very important. So everybody in the district, as soon as that plan is disseminated, so check this out. Oh. Okay. Anyways, I'm sorry, I don't have that connected. Here's your lockdown procedure. So instantly, now you have your lockdown procedure. Now, of course, you're going to close the door, lock it, get out of sight, right? Make it dark, and then you're going to be going through your checklist of what do I need to do in order to protect my students. We have emergency operation plan on here, so all the shut-off procedures. So natural gas, where is that? So you can view it on the map, so you can see right here, that blue, probably hard for you guys to see, but I apologize. But also you can view it in 3D. And this is that deep linking, you can see it here in front. So we can deep link anything and really zero in on the navigationally onto it. Questions? Security. We're ISO 27001 compliant. So we're within a hosted environment that's on top of Amazon, AWS. So we take that very seriously.
Please, Dan. So when you link into the camera, it goes to your bridge. It's live of that whatever incident may be happening in that particular area. Can you switch from camera 1 to a camera down the hallway? If, say there's an active shooter, if he's moving down the hallway, we can track him as he or she is moving down the hallway, and then that gives us a better.
You got it. So what we do is we zone it. So we have like the first, say, 6 cameras in, say, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. So you have 6 cameras in zone 1, and you move to zone 2, you'll be able to see the 6, so you'll be able to track him. And it would say the location of the camera, of course, in the nearest room to that.
And a follow-up to that.
Yeah, please.
When first responders are on scene, there's a situation going on in the building, does that signal come to their handheld device?
Yeah.
So they don't have to be in front of a static computer, it goes to a handheld device, so as the situation moves, first responders can move along with that situation and still have that information, obviously protect anybody inside the building and themselves as well.
Yeah, we call that, so it's device agnostic. So whether you have, say, an Android versus an iOS, a tablet versus a desktop computer, it all works within it. This is a cloud-based resource, and that in itself is very important for the dissemination of information. We do have a role-based system, so of course, incident commander is going to have the privilege of being able to go and actually view the cameras live and so forth. The firefighter and so forth is not going to have that access. So we have that agility within our platform as well, so that we don't overly congest, nor do we have people that don't need access into the cameras.
That was gonna be my next question. So if all of a sudden every first responder
Yeah. No.
a 20-mile radius is on this, is it gonna interrupt the feed from point A to the actual first responders on the scene?
Not at all. Yeah. So one is we're scalable to multiple devices. We've got to test 100 devices on it to see availability, but it's a server that they use to disseminate, mass sports events and all that sort of thing. It's very well known.
And then a follow-up to that one.
Please.
Sorry, I apologize.
All right, I will, good stuff.
And then can we block who sees this feed? My concern is if we have this feed, all of a sudden, anybody with access to it is logging onto it, and all of a sudden you've got a news report coming out of Detroit, this is what's going on, and here's live action. Is there a way to block that?
Only the user group that is identified within that district. So we do have the ability to be interoperable, meaning that we can have, when Oakland County Sheriff, now you have Rochester Police, then you have Michigan State Police, we have that interoperability, but of course, that comes that, they're gonna have to log into the system and that sort of thing.
Because my concern is if there's a fatality in the building, the last thing I want is some family member to see their loved one
Of course.
in that situation.
Of course.
So that's important.
Of course.
Thank you.
Very sensitive to all the privacy issues.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. If this all is based on the internet, so the signal is coming from these schools over the internet, is that dependent on your internet provider then? I mean, if I don't know who the provider is for
Yeah,
schools, but
so-
if you have AT&T, now AT&T's down in this area,
Yeah.
how does that signal get across?
So two things. One is, yes, it's internet-based, but it does have a failover cellular. So should the internet go down, it'll fail over to a cellular network and it'll broadcast on that. So that there's some redundancy there. That's, of course, very important to a product like this. Any other questions?
I have a question for Sam. if I may.
Yeah.
Sam, all the updates that you've been giving to us over the past 8 months to a year, how does this fit in with, obviously from my perspective, it fits in everything that a district could ask for with the technology today. But how does it fit in with everything that you've been researching and bringing to us as far as, just as Daniel was saying, time equals outcome?
Well, that's the whole thing. Time, obviously this buys you time. This enables you to provide that instant emergency response to those that need to know. Obviously first responders first, and also obviously everyone within the building who is provided, their cell phone number would have this ability to know, at least at the very minimum, what is occurring. Not to per se get into the system to see
Right.
what exactly is occurring, because again, it's definitely role-based in terms of the access to the specific program that we're seeing here. But it's really truly about emergency response, in my view. And so to answer your question about the research that I've done, it really is all about saving time. Most of these instances of, let's just say, an assumed active shooter incident, it's approximately a 6 or 7 minute event. And so seconds count a lot. And if you're able to engage a system such as this, which is very innovative and utilizing really the latest technology, and if you can save seconds at saving potential lives. And so it really goes hand in hand with everything that I've researched, and it is very innovative.
Thank you, Sam.
I do have a follow-up
Yes,
question.
please,
So,
Eric.
If this isn't the right form for this question, then we can have it offline, but I'm just curious, what is our investment into this system up till now and moving forward monetarily? So I can Sam or you probably know better than anybody.
Oh, sure. Well, right now, we have not been presented an invoice for any of the services performed. The 3D imaging was working collaboratively with, obviously, Dan and Craig over the past almost a year. And so, I don't know if you want to speak to any of
Yeah,
those.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, with me having children within the district, all of our 3D imaging, our work up to this point was gratis. It was, we use this as a pilot. Community, like I said, this, not to my knowledge, has been done anywhere else in the United States to this extent. I know nobody has a platform like this. We developed this platform. This is my platform. Built it in-house with developers and so forth. We have a very robust development staff. And so to answer your question, it's been $0 out of pocket. What I would like to see is I would like to see these kits be placed within every classroom because I'm a nurse anesthetist. I've also been a 21-year paramedic fireman, and I'm on SWAT team with Oakland County. So I have a very vast understanding when it comes to critical incidents and what is the most important. Most important is everybody is a first responder. That's the first person to witness an event is the very first responder. And then from that chain, the quicker you can culminate, you mitigate that situation, the better, of course. But what happens is now you have injured people because it's a locked door. You have to render them care. You have to have these medical kits in every classroom. I am a firm believer in that, and they're very affordable. So if I would ask for you guys to expend any money on our project, it would be for this because I think it's a worthy cost.
So Sam, is it fair to say that's our next step then? Is you're gonna be looking at where does this fit in your overall safety process?
That's correct. We've definitely been working since we were working approximately last year with PrePlanLive. The next steps are, again, trying to find out how much these kits will be, how many kits we will need, and frankly, we have another opportunity at a safety grant, similar to the safety grant that had occurred back in the fall of this year, of 18. There's a new $25 million available statewide. And so I'll be applying for that grant and using these costs and putting those costs within this grant application as an example. So, but that absolutely, Tom, that is the next step for me in regards to this particular project, as well as providing cell phone numbers for our administrative staff and asking our other staff members if they will be so willing to provide their cell phone numbers for this service as well. So there's several things going to be happening within the next several weeks.
Okay, so like the LifeLock things that we did a couple years ago, we might be looking at this as a proposal the same way for this in the future.
Yes.
Okay.
So again, those safety locks.
Yep.
So again, whatever these dollars are for these bags times how many bags we need throughout the district, I would be coming forward, obviously, to the board, regardless of whether it's funded by a grant or not, for approval from the board.
Anything else? Thank you so much.
First, Dan, outstanding. I mean, there's not a whole lot of times I'll stand up and take a real interest in something that's good. If we are gonna be who we say we wanna be and put safety and our students first, these are the types of things that we need to really, really roll up our sleeves, look at the dollars and cents of it, and make a decision. What's the most important thing to us? And I think it's safety. Safety of our staff, safety of our students. So we really need to take a good hard look at what we're gonna have in front of us. This is something that will give us, like Sam said and what Dan said, the time that could make the difference, all the difference in the world. And segueing into making a difference, we're doing that.